I don't know what the outcome of our time is going to be, but I can't let you out of these chairs without having you tell us about a buried trauma as a child for you, Amanda,
Yes.
that nearly rocked your marriage
Oh, yes.
and
Well,
became a song.
It became a song. It became a message. It became my testimony. And it's many people's testimony. I learn every day all over the country, all over the world, that many women, many men come up and go, that's my story. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. And for so many years, not only did the people who did it to me said, don't you ever say a word, people will know that you did something, you'll be in trouble. I kept it quiet. The enemy would tell me, you can't say anything. So I married this man with the enemy telling me, if you tell him who you are, where you have been, and what has happened to you, he won't love you. He will not love you for the shame that's on your life. And so I didn't tell him. I told him enough about me to somewhat sleep at night. And finally, after about 2 years of marriage and a lot of torment within my soul, in my mind, of the enemy going, look at you traveling around in a world-renowned ministry, and your husband doesn't even know who you are. But if he knows, he's going to leave you. It's torment.
What pushed you to risking?
Right. I screamed out to God 10 years ago in August. I screamed out to God, 2003, and said, God, if you don't do something in my life, I'm going to leave him. Because I could not handle the abandonment of him walking away from me. So I'll be the strong one, and I'm going to leave if you don't do something. And you know, we always pray those prayers, and then we're shocked when God meets us where we are. And we were in Central City, Kentucky, and I walked off the bus that day after screaming out to God to an empty bus. And about 50 feet, a woman came up to me and took a deep breath, and she said, I need to speak with you. And so she took me behind a nursing home. And that woman began to tell me everything about my life that I'd never spoken to another human being. Every hidden thing, everything, she gave it a name. The things that I were not willing to call by name, she called them. And I knew that it was God. And
There was no other explanation.
There was no other explanation. I laid in that stranger's lap like a baby. And she stroked my hair for 2 hours, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And she said, now that you have emptied yourself of all of that junk, she said, I'm going to pray that God fills every crevice and every crack with his presence. And did he ever meet me there and do something in my life? That day he saved my marriage. That day he saved the children that we hadn't even had yet. He saved a ministry that I never knew that he would give me the opportunity to have. And a healing process began to take place in about a year. And I'll never forget the moment. I learned the power of a prayer closet, literally. But when thou prayest, it's not an option. When you pray, enter into your closet, shut the door, shut everything out. And I physically would go into my closet and I would lay on my floor before the Lord. That was my sanctuary. That was my safe place. That was the moment in time where everything was off limits with God. I was bore my soul, and I would say, God, speak to me. And he said, after about a year, after I shared with my husband, I felt so good, I felt released, and I'm like, God, I've came clean with my husband, I feel free. And God said, I want you to tell your story.
Is that where the song was birthed that we're about to hear?
Yes, I said, God, tell my story. What would I even say? I've worked so hard keeping it quiet from everybody. And he told me to turn to John, the 11th chapter. And in my mind, I'm going, what does this dead man of Lazarus have to do with me? What does this have to do with me, God? And
Wrapped
I began
in his grave clothes.
Yeah, so I began to read, and actually in the story where I first connect was Mary and Martha as they were meeting Jesus, and they said, Lord, if you would have been here, this wouldn't have happened. And
How many abuse victims?
how many people who have been hurt in life, traumatic experiences. God, if you are who you say you are, and you're all-knowing, where were you? But he said, take me to the place where you've laid him. And as they walked to that grave, we all know that the story went on and there was disbelief. And he looked at him and he said, if you will just believe, you will see the glory of the Lord. And he spoke, and Lazarus came out, and the grave clothes fell off. And I was Lazarus in that moment.
So we need to take him
We need to take
to that painful place that's tied us up. You've heard it said, you're only as sick as your deepest secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you respond to get this news, this
Oh,
woman that you didn't know?
I just, you know, I told her I love her no matter what, you know, and I knew something had changed in her because she was, I mean, instantaneously she was different. And all she wanted to do was pray with people when she came back from this woman. And that woman was very instrumental in our life.
Yes.
You know, she became a mentor for Amanda. And but yeah, it's amazing what God can do when you take him to that hurt and to that pain and allow him to turn it around and get the glory out of it.
Well, I hope that as you're singing it now, this ballad will be more than a lovely sound. It'll be a vehicle for response for people who need to make this same decision. Thank you both, Aaron and Amanda. I have to let you go. I'd love to talk, but we're going to hear your heart as you sing. Mercy is the CD. It is at our e-store